Hey there, Angela Mosley here with Modern Fit Moms. I am a nutrition and fitness coach specifically for moms, prenatal, postnatal, and beyond. Today I want to talk to you all about tracking food and weight loss and having a deficit within your calories. We are heading into this season of goal setting, New Year's resolutions, and many of you will be starting a new fitness program or maybe a new nutrition program, or maybe you'll seek out one-on-one coaching and personal training. And today I wanted to cover with you all the different ways that you can track your food for the different levels and different lifestyles that you might need. So for starters, I want to talk about that if one of your goals is fat loss or weight loss, you have to have a calorie deficit in through your calories consumed or through calories burned. And so whether that is creating a deficit in your diet or it's creating a deficit through burning more calories, so more movement, more exercise, or a combination of both. You have to have a calorie deficit somewhere in order for you to lose weight and to reach your fat loss goals. And what I teach here at Modern Fit Moms, I focus more on fat loss versus weight loss. And the reason is because fat loss is going to be a little bit more gradual, but we focus on prioritizing strength training while also prioritizing healthy nutrition so that we can build muscle and burn fat throughout our journey. Whereas weight loss is more dramatic. I don't want to say dramatic, but a little bit faster because you're not focusing on maintaining your muscle mass. You are just simply focusing on weight loss alone. So again, here at Modern Fit Moms, I focus on fat loss because I want to help you get stronger and build lean, strong muscles. So today I want to talk to you all about the different ways that you can track your food without going crazy and choosing whichever level works best for you. So the first level that I highly recommend everybody masters before they move on to anything else. And this is something I learned through my Girls Gone Strong Women's Health Coach certification. So number one is becoming more aware of your hunger versus appetite. And what this might mean is when you have that growling feeling that your stomach is empty and your stomach is starting to growl, it sends signals to your brain that you're ready for more food. You might also see this in fatigue. You might become hangry. I tend to get hangry. I get really fatigued, brain fog. Those are some signs that I personally experience when I know that my body is ready for more fuel. Now, there's a huge difference between hunger and appetite. Appetite is something where you have a desire to eat. So maybe you go to a party and you smell the yummy food. For me, it might be buffalo chicken dip. I love some buffalo chicken dip. And now I'm not necessarily hungry, but I have an appetite to eat the buffalo chicken dip. And so that is the difference between hunger and appetite. So the first step to tracking your food is recognizing your hunger cues. Are you actually hungry? And again, this is something that I've learned from Girls Gone Strong in my Women's Health Coach certification. One thing that they recommend saying and sharing with my clients is asking yourself, are you hungry enough to eat a piece of chicken and a side of vegetables? Or maybe that's, a piece of steak and a side of vegetables, whatever your go-to meal is. For me, it's typically chicken with a side of broccoli. Are you hungry enough to eat that? Or are you just craving something, looking in the pantry to eat something? So once you start to recognize hunger versus appetite and you start implementing, okay, I'm only going to eat when I'm hungry, then your body starts to become more aware. You become more aware of when you actually should be eating. And this is the first step to helping you to a maintain or maintenance diet. So we have a certain amount of calories that our body requires us to consume just to maintain life, just to go about life. And so this will help you to recognize your maintenance, what your body actually needs versus what you actually want, if that makes sense in regards to cravings. So a couple of things that you can do to improve this way of recognizing hunger versus appetite is stopping halfway through your meal. So if you look at your plate, half of your plate is gone, stop halfway through. Have some conversations, talk to your family members, and then give it a 1 to 2 minutes. After that's done, then ask yourself, do I still need to eat more? Am I satisfied or am I full? So satisfaction is not quite full. You are satisfied. You don't need to eat anymore to feel satisfied, right? Whereas full is just before that bloating stage where we might all feel super bloated, super full. So our goal is always to aim for satisfaction. And then full, of course, is that next step. and then we want to avoid feeling bloated. Another thing that you can focus on is by chewing your food. Simply by sitting there and chewing your food 20 times before you take your next bite. We want to puree it. We want to make sure that we are breaking down the nutrients that our body can absorb it, get that fiber in our system. When I was in the military and I went through basic training, I literally scarfed my food down. This was before I had kids. And so they trained, not that they trained me specifically, but we only had a couple minutes to eat. And so I ate everything in sight that I possibly could. I ended up gaining about 40 pounds in basic training. Even though we were extremely active, I ate more than what my body needed. And so I still struggle with this habit today where I have to really remind myself to slow down. And because I've developed this habit, I see my daughters developing this habit as well. And so it's really an opportunity for me to think, okay, slow down and take your bites and then return when you are ready, when you're ready for that next bite. So those are just a couple of things that you can start with in recognizing hunger versus appetite, satisfaction versus fullness, and then of course using those different cues like stopping halfway through your plate and then chewing your food for your chewing your food to about 20 times or until it's pureed before you add in another bite. The second option that I recommend to my clients is the plate method, which I gotta grab my plate. So you've got your plate here, and one thing that you can do is break your plate up into macronutrients. So I like to split it down the middle so that half my plate is vegetables, a quarter of my plate is my protein source, and then another quarter is my fiber-filled carbs. And so we want to make sure that we have, that would be a balance, and then of course some fat. Whether that's fat because of your protein or fat on your vegetables, maybe you put some butter on it, or maybe you put some olive oil on it, or maybe you put something on your fiber-filled carbs as well. And so this is the second way that I would recommend tracking. Once you've recognized hunger versus appetite, then you can move on to something a little bit more serious and recognizing the different macros that our body needs to have a balanced plate. And so I aim for this 3 times a day, my 3 main meals. I aim to have all of these things on my plate. And then for my snacks, I simply just aim for at least a protein and then maybe a carb or a fat, or a vegetable, which is also considered a carb as well. So just that would be your second option that I would recommend to move on to. And then your third option would be your hands. So using your hands to track your food. So we want to think, again, if you can calculate or track your days, 3 days worth of the nutrition that you're currently eating right now, that'll give you a baseline of where you're starting at, and then you can create a deficit from there if you need a deficit, right? Maybe you just want to maintain, or maybe you just want to eat healthier, but that you need to at least track 3 days so you can see where you're starting from, and then you can move on to decide which option is best for you. So the hand portion method is something that I've learned from Precision Nutrition as well as Girls Gone Strong, and I love using this because we take our hands everywhere. And so when we think about a balanced plate, like I just explained to you, we want to think a palm size for our protein, fist for our vegetables, thumb for our fats, and then a cupped hand for our carbs. And so if you're working with me one-on-one or you're in a group setting with me, then I calculate these things for you. So I tell you, hey, here's how many palm sizes of protein you need. Here's how many fists you need of vegetables and fats and so on, because I've curated that plan for you. But if you're able to calculate that on your own, then you can decide, looking at using your hands anywhere you go out. You take your hands everywhere. So this is a perfect opportunity to track your food without actually tracking meticulously by weighing it and all those different things, but just by using your hands. And I recommend that you use a sheet to track it, so that okay, here's my goal for the day. I need 7 palms of protein for the day. And so you're going to track that throughout the day. So you will be tracking some, but it's a lot simpler than using an app and actually inputting everything into it. And then of course the final one is actually tracking your full macros through an app or on an Excel spreadsheet, whatever the case might be. So this is very high level, and I don't recommend anybody starts here who is just diving into nutrition, because it is high level. It's not something that I even practice myself today, because I've developed a lifestyle where I already know, like, this is a balanced plate for me. It's visual to me, it's something that I love, and because I've got 4 crazy kids, I don't have time to track everything. But if this is your goal, is that you do want to track everything, I recommend, again, you need to create that calorie range that you're looking for, and then breaking down the macros. Typically, it's anywhere from a 30 to a 35-35. So 30% protein, 35% carbs, and then 35% 35% fats, and then you kind of break it up throughout that, and then that's how you would track in an app such as MyFitnessPal. There's also an app called NutritionX. And so you can track it in there, you can track your calories, but if you follow your specific macros, according to the grams that are allotted for your calories, then you should be able to meet that calorie intake that you're looking for. Again, this is a little bit more time consuming, requires a lot of attention. And so this is not something that I typically recommend because as a busy mom myself, I don't have time to sit and track everything. But it is good to track at first just so you can get a general idea of where you're starting, and then you can choose whichever tracking method is going to work best for you. Whatever you decide, I highly recommend that you choose something that is going to work for you long term. So I do not promote meal plans, I don't promote diets, I don't promote any of that. When working with moms, I encourage them to do what feels best for them in that moment and what they feel they can stick with in a long term, because there are so many ways to lose weight and burn fat and tone up without having to track every single calorie. And so that's always my goal, is to help you to achieve those great, amazing results, to feel good about yourself, to gain the confidence that you so desire without having to spend hours either exercising or tracking your foods. So I hope that was helpful, and I hope that you decide to start, like I said, start with the very basics. Start with recognizing hunger versus appetite, recognizing satisfaction versus fullness, and making sure that you chew your food. Once you've mastered that, then you can go on to the plate method, then the hand portion. And if you really want to start tracking, full on tracking, kudos to you. Definitely go for it if that's where you are and where you want to go. Otherwise, I will see you in another video that I will be sharing more tips and tricks on nutrition. We do have a nutrition training coming up, a nutrition not a training, but a nutrition challenge in the new year, January 2024. So I'm super excited about that, to teach mamas so many new skills that they don't have, not new skills, but skills that they can implement without having to track anything. So I hope to see you there.